Hello, thanks for tuning in to my official YouTube channel, Reverend MeeLing. I've been known by a few names: Reverend MeeLing, Reverend Susan MeeLing, Lady MeeLing, Lady Dori Belle, a few others. So, my prior video which is funny because when I could sneak down the stairs, when like my biological father was listening to Richard Pryor and stuff like that, I would ninja down the stairs to try to listen, and I'd have to hold in that position because I couldn't go all the way down the stairs, so I'd have to just like stay in that vicinity and just listen, because if I got too far down the stairs, I couldn't like cover up my laughter. And so like when Richard Pryor would be doing the comedy thing, it was like, okay, I have to focus on, not falling face first down the stairs as I'm holding onto the wall of each side. But I can listen, and I can I'll giggle later. And so, Anyway, so those who know who I'm talking about, I would guesstimate you could see certain similarities when it comes to my sense of humor in certain regards. Anyway, so the prior video in reference to my ex-sister-in-law, Susie Marie Nichols Lopez, was the prior video. This particular official YouTube video is in reference to my other ex-sister-in-law. Now, unlike Susie Marie Nichols Lopez, where I had years of getting to know her, I only had a few situations where I actually got to meet Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen and her, what she bred. And there's a bumping dough that's mad outside. Nonetheless, so the first time I met Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen was just before her then husband, David Osteen, was going to go in the Air Force and go to basic training. And so my now dead ex-husband, her brother, not his marriage husband, nonetheless, and myself go to the airport at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. I had my son. I was pregnant with my son at the time. And so those who have seen how, like, some pictures of how big, I was huge when I was pregnant. I was over 200 pounds. And I got knocked up when I was like 115 pounds. So, I was, my pregnant belly was huge. My boobs got huge. I mean, that's just the way it was. Nonetheless, when going to get Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen from the airport, it was around April or May. It might have been May of 2001. And her and her two daughters, Sondra Marie Osteen and Ariel Marie Osteen, had gotten off the airplane and at the terminal to go pick them up, pun intended in certain regards. A little sadistic humor there. Nonetheless, they get off the stairs, and they did not want to carry their own luggage. Well, who better, in their opinion, to carry the luggage than, the pregnant female? Probably a bunch of other people could think of, like, themselves to carry their own luggage, or my now dead ex-husband to carry their luggage. Instead, it was me, pregnant with my son, who got to carry their luggage. And so Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen had told me she had heard about me well before the actual marriage had taken place. She had told me that she had found out about me before my now dead ex-husband and I had ever met. She had told me, just as my now dead ex-husband had also told me before his death during the confessional portion where he still denied ever believing in God, had, informed me that if it wasn't for Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen, he would have never spoken to me. Like in the way of going to like relationship stuff. And so Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen, she's, oh, it's so wonderful. Or let me do that fake Southern accent that she did, because there were points in times where she just didn't have it, and she was in a good mood. It wasn't like she was angry. Like, it's been pointed out to me that if I get to a certain level of anger, my New Jersey accent just comes right out, and there is just no hiding that. With her, even in a good mood, there were points in times where it would go from, well, y'all, blah, 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 to, just a regular accent of discussing stuff. And so, I meet her, and she's like, well, it's so nice to meet you. And fake is all I heard. Just fake. 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 So fake. Anyway, in reference to Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen, her two daughters, Sondra Marie Osteen and Ariel Marie Osteen, they had a very slight Southern accent where, it was certain words that would, if you listened enough, you could hear a little bit of a twang. Not that much, though, especially in comparison to Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen, who was born in Louisiana at Fort Polk, raised there for the majority of her life, before being moved to Fort Worth, Texas, to then go to Georgia. So it didn't make sense to me why her accent would be that thick, that heavy. It's just, I get if you live in a certain place, you tend to pick up a little bit of that vernacular and certain terms, but the actual accent, that's like, you gotta like grow up there. And so she introduced, oh, I'm a Southern Belle, and it's like, oh, I just keep hearing fake, 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 fake. And it's just, all right, whatever, it's a little fairy, just going fake, 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 in reference to Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen. Okay, whatever. So I carry all three of their, luggage sets because, two teenager females and one adult female. Now, they carried their carry-ons, and then the luggage that they checked in, who better? I can think of like 4 individuals who would have been a better choice to actually carry that luggage. Instead, it was me who carried it while being pregnant with my son. Whatever. Anyway, so get to the van. It was I think it was a Ford Windstar at that point, and put their luggage in the van and start driving back to Fort Worth from the Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. And my now dead ex-husband and Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen, his sister, they're my ex-sister-in-law, start discussing certain things. And as I'm driving and, getting, and yeah, that was difficult. I don't deny that. Anyway, so a certain point in time, I point out to Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen, I said, hey, you want to be careful of your mom's dogs. And she asked me why. And I said, she has this one dog. His name is Julio, and he looks like he swallowed a football, like whole. And he has his little toothpick legs. And she, meaning Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen, said, oh, dogs live me. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I was born in the year of the dog, and I cannot stand you. However, that is a personal opinion, and it is not the exact same, obviously. However, I'm going to take that southern. I damn sure know I cannot stand you, you dumb bitch, in my thoughts. And so, however, Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen continued to try to explain to me that she's never had any problems with any dogs. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, I don't know about that. I have a feeling you cannot say that truthfully. Anyway, so I try to explain that to her as far as Julio is concerned. All the other dogs, they're, whatever. I don't like little dogs. I just don't. I don't like little dogs. Little dogs, well, they're kind of like footballs. Whether or not they look like they're the size of one with stumpy little legs and the belly dragging along the floor. But, like, I grew up with a half collie, half husky, and then a full-bred husky. Those were the two dogs that I grew up with. And then my babysitter's dog was a Weimaraner. I mean, granted, that was her husband's dog, but I got along with Duke far better than I did the little itty-bitty white curly hair. They weren't poodles, but they were, like, little and curly hair and football-sized dogs, just and get along with those. Usually because I would accidentally pet them too hard. And so I just stuck with the bigger dogs. She's like, who's your little puppy dog? And it's like, 75-pound dog or whatever. Got along with Rottweilers and pit bulls and English bulldogs. Little dogs, go to pet them. Yeah, ugh, get out of here. I just can't. Not my fault. And of course my e-cigarette is over there, so hold on one second real quick. So, in reference to the aspects of, giving the warning to my ex-sister-in-law, Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen, about the dogs in the house at her mom's house, Grandma Nichols's house, I don't think so. Like, Julio is the type of dog that, he peed on your mom's foot, and she makes him chicken with rice and wet as well as dry dog food. So, I was just saying, I understand he was a stray dog before she got him, but, there is a saying. And she feeds him well. And so, Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen. Oh, there's no problem. Yeah, okay. Her two daughters, Sondra Marie and Ariel Marie Osteen, are in the back seat of the van going, oh, you just don't know, Aunt Susan. And it's like, I've kind of been going to your grandma's house for the past couple of months, at least twice a month. I have a feeling I've got those dogs down pat. Like, I think so. I think I got their particular personalities. The other Chihuahuas, they're not nearly as bad as Julio. However, she also doesn't make them go to the bathroom outside. So that's probably another issue in its own right. That, sometimes they go on the puppy pads, and then like a whole bunch of other times they just don't. And I have this thing where I take my shoes off when I go into a certain, inside. And I got to the point where I just refused to take my shoes off because, ew. When my socks turned like black just from 2 steps on the carpet, that lets you know all that you need to know. And so it's just, ew, no, I'm good. Just that's okay. And so, get to the house in Fort Worth, and Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen and her two daughters get out of the car. I grab, the luggage, because, who better? Being sarcastic, of course. And so Mary goes inside. Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen goes inside and goes, "Oh, look, this must be Julio." And Julio is, wagging his tail right in front of her. I got all the luggage while being pregnant. And, Sondra Marie Osteen and Ariel Marie Osteen are right behind me. And my now dead ex-husband was behind them. And Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen knelt down to get face-to-face with Julio. And he's wagging his tail. And I look at her and I said, "I think that you might want to stand up." She looks back at me with, those who have met her know what type of facial expression going, "Oh, Susan, you just don't understand." And then turns to look back at Julio. "Oh, dogs, look." Julio bit her on her face. And for those who don't know, if a dog bites you, do not pull the dog away. You have to open its jaw so that way you don't do damage. Instead, she pulled the dog from her face, and just this blood all over Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen's face. She's just pouring blood all over her face. Turns around. By that point, I dropped the luggage because I couldn't help but laugh and be like, "High five, Julio." Bitch, I know we're here. And the irony is, Julio actually came over, put his front two paws on my leg, let me pet him for a little bit, and then, went and started biting Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen's ankle. And I'm like, "Get him." And well, anybody who's ever been with a bunch of teenagers behind them knows what that's like. So Sondra Marie Osteen and Ariel Marie Osteen, not all teenagers, but those two in particular, they pushed past me because they heard their mom crying. And so she turns around with the blood all over her face, and Sondra Marie and Ariel Marie Osteen, and Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen is just crying while she's got all this blood just pouring down her face. I had to lean against the wall laughing. Because it was fantastic. And then, because those who know anything about dogs, Ariel and Sondra Marie Osteen go running while Julio goes running after them. So there's this big old football swallowed dog with his belly dragging along the ground with his little toothpick legs going, and I've never seen that dog move so fast. I haven't even seen him move that fast for food. That's how fast that dog was running. And so the two of them, Sondra Marie and Ariel Marie Osteen, are running around the center portion of the house where there's that wall that separated the living room from the kitchen area. The dining room is off to the side, and then there's the hallway that led to the bedrooms and the bathrooms. And they are just running around that circle over and 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 over again. And Julio, I'm still leaning against the wall laughing because it was funny. Still is. Still is. Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen has just blood, just, "Oh, dogs love me." I guess not. I guess not. I tried to warn you. Then I got in trouble for, saying that by my now dead ex-husband. I dealt with that. That is what it is. Nonetheless, the two daughters are still running around and running around. "Ah, Julio's chasing us. Somebody save us from Julio." Little chihuahua. It looked like he swallowed a football. Belly dragging. I don't know if he got rug burn on his belly from, his little toothpick legs, right? then Sondra Marie and Ariel Marie Osteen run to the hallway, which did not lead outside. No, they ran to the hallway that led to the bedrooms and the bathroom. They go into the bathroom, shut the door in the bathroom. The only escape route from that bathroom was a window that was like 12 inches wide, maybe 18 inches wide, and then like 6 inches tall. You think that you're going to be safe in that bathroom? Oh, okay. So, Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen is not concerned about her daughters at all. She's in the kitchen cleaning up her face from all the blood from where Julio, I can't believe the dog bit my face. Grandpa Nichols finally comes out of his room and goes, what in the shit is going on? And I'm still giggling, despite the fact that I dealt with, don't do that. I don't care. It's still funny. My now dead ex-husband runs to Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen's side. Oh, let me help you with your, wounds. Not caring about, his nieces. And Grandpa Nichols is like, Julio, shut the fuck up. And Julio looks up at him. Yeah. And then, waddles with Grandpa Nichols over to the living room to sit in his chair. Julio jumps up onto the chair through the recliner. What he would do is put his paws on the recliner, so then when Grandpa Nichols would pull the lever, then Julio would automatically be lifted into Grandpa Nichols' lap and just sit on the new definition of lazy boy. And just sit there and Grandpa Nichols, he yells out, somebody take care of those dumb bitches. And I was like, oh, high five, Grandpa Nichols. And Grandma Nichols finally gets up from the dining room table and goes, you stupid ass shit, you stupid ass shit, you stupid ass shit, and starts yelling at Julio. And Julio's just looking at her like, yeah, okay, whatever, dinner, whatever. And so Mary's two daughters, Sondra Marie and Ariel Marie Osteen, they are just crying still in the bathroom. Make Julio go away. Yeah, he's not outside your door anymore. No, we know he's still there. No, he's not. No, he's on the chair with Grandpa Nichols. You should probably stop being so whiny. Stop making fun of us, Aunt Susan. I don't care. You don't know me, so yeah. Somebody tell us when the coast is clear so that way we don't get bit by the Chihuahua that looked like he swallowed a football with little toothpick legs. Who was sitting with Grandpa Nichols. Well, I will give some leniency-ish, because a couple of the other, 9 dogs that Grandma and Grandpa Nichols had, a couple of the Chihuahuas just were sitting outside of the bathroom door going, yip, 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 yip. I didn't know that at the time, because I was just paying attention to Julio, so the other time, yip, yip, no, we know he's there, we know he's there. No, he's not. I see him. I see him right there. No, he's right outside. It's like, ugh. See, you two are the type of females I already know we're not going to get along. Ugh. You are just like your cousin Joseph, but in a female form. Ugh, we're not gonna get along. We're not gonna get along. I'm gonna tolerate you. I know that. Susan, why don't you you save us from the, like, two little chihuahuas? One of them being Tina, who, like, had to, which essentially had Parkinson's for dogs. Just twitching outside of the door, not actually doing anything. And then whatever the other chihuahua's name was, I was just, oh, you want to play? You want to play? You want to play? No, you don't want to play. Yip, 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 yip. And so took them a while to get out of the bathroom because, you know, my now dead ex-husband is still helping Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen, you know, clean up the blood from her face. I can't believe Julio bit me in the face after Susan warned me that he's mean. At that point, I just went outside because I was just like, I can't. I wish I could smoke right now, but, you know, pregnant with my son, so I really use a cigarette. But I can't. So I'm just going to sit out here. Well, then down the street comes the sound of a Harley Davidson, and I'm like, oh, who's I haven't heard a motorcycle in this neighborhood before. And look, and then, you know, the guy on the motorcycle pulls into the driveway, and, you know, I'm just sitting there, and he looks over at me after taking off his helmet. I'm like, hey, what's up? And he goes, who are you? I'm like, who are you? I don't know who you are. So then I stand up and he's like, oh, you're pregnant. Yeah, yes, I am. At that time. And so he's just like, well, you know, I'm David. And I'm like, oh, well, hi, I'm Susan. Oh, you're that one's husband. Hi, nice to meet you. And he's just, what do you mean that one's husband? The one inside who got bit in the face. And he's like, what do you mean? And I was like, so you might want to stay outside for a little bit. Why? Do you like hearing your wife cry for no reason? No. Okay, so we'll just stand out here and talk. And he's just like, what? Who are you? Hi, I'm Susan. Nice to meet you. And, you know, talk with him for a little while. And he's just, okay, so you're about to go in the Air Force. Good for you. Congratulations. And he, you know, plays with his motorcycle jacket. He's like, yeah, Mary's not really happy with me. Yeah, well, she can go somewhere. Anyway, you know, well, you know, she's not happy with Julio right now. So I think you're in the clear at this point in time. What do you mean? Oh, well, you know. Just some stuff. Just saying. So, we talk a little bit more. We go inside. Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen's face has been cleaned up. She has, you know, some teeth marks on her nose, and that's about it. And I'm like, all right, well, you know, at least you stopped crying. That's good to know. And I get it. Like, the little chihuahua bit her face and made her bleed, but, you know, those who have met her understand the over-dramatization from that one. And so, you know, her two daughters, Sondra Marie and Ariel Marie Osteen, are, you know, out of the bathroom by that point. And so, you know, they go in the living room where everyone is, and we're all talking, and Susie Marie Nichols Lopez shows up to the house with her three children. It's like, oh, this house is too small for this. Ooh. No wonder Tony lives in Oklahoma. Makes so much sense. And so, you know, in that regard, you know, and I'll do a video in that regard in a minute, when I'm done with this one. And so, David is sitting in the other lazy boy chair that matches Grandpa Nichols' chair. And he just sits down, and Mary Evongelina Nichols, and you gotta go in the face, man. It's like, oh, I thought you were done crying. Ugh, shut up. Like, just, oh, stop it. Stop it. Julio, get her. And he went, ah, and then Mary, it was like, high five, Julio. What was even better is as she was telling David about being bit, Julio jumped off of the recliner, goes over to where Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen was standing, pisses on her leg, waddles back over to the chair, gets picked up, sits down in Grandpa Nichols' lap, and I'm just looking at him like, high five. Who's she gonna be mad? And 3, 2, oh, my leg is wet. Julio did it. Why are you laughing? Because I saw the whole thing. It was great. Sucks for you. You're going to want to change your pants. And then, whatever. Anyway, so the discussion goes on with, like, Susie Marie Nichols Lopez and Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen, and they're yip, 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 pun intended, just, talking, and then Sondra Marie Osteen, Ariel Marie Osteen, and Brianna Marie Lopez, and Marissa Marie Lopez are all talking. And Grandma Nichols is spending time with Joseph Anthony Lopez, and Grandpa Nichols is just sitting on the chair as he's talking with my now dead ex-husband. And I'm just watching all this, and I'm just like, ugh. Is there any way to get help? How is some Well, then Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen looks at me and says, so, you were in the Army. Tell David what he's getting into. Excuse me? And she goes, you were in the Army. Yeah, why don't you have your brother explain? And why do you have to say it like that to me? And she goes, well, he needs to know the danger that he's in. In the Air Force? Compared to the Army? Not saying shit can't happen in the Air Force. However, compared to the Army, okay, so David is sitting there and he goes, well, you were in the Army? Did you get out because of your pregnancy? I was like, no, I got out because, I had a head injury on Palm Sunday last year, and I pissed off a drill sergeant. And Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen tells me, you need to tell David when your head injury happened. I looked at him and I was like, it was on Palm Sunday. And I was in a coma for a while. I had a subarachnoid hemorrhage, or have a subarachnoid hemorrhage at that time, frontal lobe of my brain. Still figuring stuff out with the doctors and whatnot. And the guy looks at me, David, and he's just like, oh my God, what did you just say? And I was like, yeah, well, what happened? I pissed off a drill sergeant. That's what happened. I did. Pissed him off. Well, how'd you piss him off? Because he asked me why I wouldn't break after being smoked for so many hours. And that was the night before. I told him the whole thing. And then, the following night, after Palm Sunday church service, came and smoked me for a while. And then I started counting because of the clock on the wall. And at around 45 minutes, the drill sergeant asked me why I didn't break, and I asked the drill sergeant if I had permission to speak freely. Drill sergeant said, sure, fine, go right ahead. Didn't realize what that meant, so I said why I didn't break easily, because he was calling me a bunch of names, and so I told him that I grew up in my, biological mother's uterus in my childhood, hearing worse names than that. And then my biological father telling me all sorts of stuff from, after my birth, like you were born with the wrong chromosome, and, or missing a chromosome, and so on and so forth. So that would be when the drill sergeant got really mad at me for speaking the truth, shook me, yelled at me, and then threw me into the metal part of the bunk. And then, I woke up at Fort Sam Houston. And Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen, see what can happen to you? And I look at her, I'm like, you don't care about him in that way. And she just, how dare you? Let me do this math for you. Since you want me to scare your husband, David. First off, out of all of the branches with what is going on, because I had told David about my dream, as well as the rest of the family, like told them all about it, nightmare / dream, and that whole thing. And, David was like, what do you mean your nightmare? So I told him about why I had joined and stuff like that, how I fought to get emancipated. And I go from looking at David Osteen to Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen, and I said, he is not going to be on the front lines in the Air Force. If he goes overseas, he will be behind, well behind the security lines that will do a whole bunch of stuff being in the Air Force. He's not going to have to worry the same way Army guys and Marine Corps guys do. He's not going to have this, and this, and go down the whole, different stuff. And David is just sitting there going, oh my God, what? Did I ever tell you? Probably not, since this is the first time we met. And he goes, well, I just want you to know that I was raised Catholic. Okay, cool. I went to a Catholic high school. Yeah, I just want you to know I was raised Catholic. Okay. I don't know what that means. I was just raised Catholic. Okay, you were raised Catholic. Yes, I was raised Catholic. Okay, good. For you. Okay. What does that have to do with the Air Force right now? Just want you to know that I was raised Catholic. Okay. I don't understand what that means at that time. And so the rest of the weekend goes on. David winds up driving to Lackland Air Force Base to check in. And then some time goes by, and then, went back to Fort Worth to go pick up Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen, Sondra Marie Osteen, and Ariel Marie Osteen to go to San Antonio for David's graduation at Lackland Air Force Base. And, they get into the apartment. My now dead ex-husband, is just whatever, talking in that regard. And then, I'm carrying the luggage once again, being big and pregnant, who better? Anyway, so get into the Lincoln Green Apartments is where living at that time. And at the end of the hallway was my tank that had my first pet, Methuselah. And Methuselah was a ghost corn snake, and he came out of where because he would stay, either on top of the rock or underneath the rock. And when they came in, he came out with a vengeance. I was like, I have never seen my snake do that. He was not an aggressive snake at all. I thought he grew fangs for a second. I was like, whoo, you mad? I fed you before I left. What is your problem? He did not like Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen. He did not like Sondra Marie Osteen. And he did not like Ariel Marie Osteen. I got lectured. What type of girl has a pet snake as a pet? This female has a pet snake as a pet. And so I went over to my pet's tank and I'm like, hey, calm down. Anytime either one of those three females went to go past that tank, Methuselah would, ooh, he does not like you at all. I have never seen him ever act like that. Not once. Ooh. He is I'd go get the pinky, play with the pinky. He'd come out from the rock, stand on the rock, or lay on the rock, and be like, hey, what's up? I know you're going to feed me. What's up? And, and then, I'd be done playing with his food, and then I'd open the tank, put the pinky in there, and he'd just look at me and do the, thanks, Mom. Look over at the pinky, I'm going to fuck you up. And look back over at me, thanks, Mom. And then he'd go attack the mouse and eat the mouse, and then, I'd give him a couple of minutes to finish digesting it. I open up the tank and put my hand in. He'd slide up my arm, come up to my neck, give me a kiss right here, slide around to the other side, give me a kiss right here, slide around back to the other side, just kind of lay there. It's like, yes, you happy, you go full belly, yes, you do, yes, you big old Medusa. He wasn't that big, he was like 2 feet. And so then, when he was done, I was like, all right, lift the tank lid back up, put my arm down, he'd slide back down, get in on top of the rock, look at me. Thanks, Mom. And then went back underneath the rock and then, went to go digest his food. He was very, very, very docile. Very calm, snake. And so, but anytime, any of those three, he don't like you. I guess you can add that to your list of animals that don't like you, Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen. Just saying. She did not like that. I did not care. So, one day, Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen says she wanted to get coffee. And I said, well, open up the phone book to go see, what coffee shop there was. Sondra and Ariel Marie Osteen look over at me and they go, why don't you use the computer? Why? I have a phone book. What's wrong with you? Like, what? Why would you use a computer to look to see what is wrong with you? And they're like, do you not know how to use a computer? And so I had explained the issues from when I grew up in New Jersey, as far as what I had once known compared to after my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000. And they were like, really? You don't know anything? No, I had to be retaught how to do stuff. Like, I only relearned colors last year, and I only learned how to count to 10. And the two of them were like, oh, that sounds so awesome. I looked at them like, no, it's not. It's not fun. It really sucks. I don't like it. And they were just, oh, Mom, that sounds like fun. And Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen looks at them and she's like, yeah, it kind of does, huh, girls? I look at her and I'm like, what do you mean? I heard Methuselah go, and I was, whoa! What? I've never heard you hiss. Ever. Like, ever. That snake was like the most calm snake and I've been around a few. Not just because of being in the BDSM, LGBTQP, and swingers lifestyle. I mean, actual snakes in that regard. He was like very docile. I had been around boa constrictors and a few others, and they didn't ever hiss at me like that. And so I was like, usually they just kind of like, hey, what are you doing? What's going on? Where are you going? And that was before my hairstyle and hair color. And so I was like, and even before my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000, as well as after. And I was like, this is so weird. Why are you acting that way? Ooh, better not get an attitude with me. And I hear, and I'm like, shit. Oh, shit. So, look at the phone books. The three of them are whispering amongst themselves, and I'm just, oh, there's a Candlelight Coffee House, got the address. So I told them I don't know how to get there. They went over to the computer, and they went and got MapQuest directions. I was like, what is MapQuest? And they were like, oh, MapQuest is a thing that you can get directions from. Oh, okay. Printed out the directions. We go drive down there, go and park at Candlelight Coffee House. And Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen had said, oh, it's fantastic. It's, got my name in it. Okay, whatever. Is the tea that I made not good enough? Because she had to have her sweet tea. And, and she told me my sweet tea was too strong. And I was like, okay. Never made sweet tea before. Okay, and the sweet tea that I made back then was like, well, I mean, it's dark. It's like the way I make coffee. So strong. And she didn't like it because it was too strong for her delicate stomach. And whatever. So we go drive out to North St. Mary's to go to Candlelight Coffee House. And Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen, oh, girls, it's a street named after me. I don't think so, but whatever. Because you'd actually have to be a saint, but you are you. And then, my opinion, and I was thinking that at that time. And so then Sondra Marie and Ariel Marie Osteen go, well, our names are Marie, so yeah. I gotta focus on parking this van right now. Yeah, saints you are not. That is for certain. Yeah, okay, so we get out of the van, we go walk over to the stairs where Candlelight Coffee House is. And I read on the sign, and I said, 21 and up? What type of coffee house do you have to be like 21 and up after a certain time? It's weird. Okay. And then all of a sudden, these three guys walk out and they go, hi, girl, hi. I go, hey, oh, you guys look so cute. Girl, don't you know it? You guys have, we know, mama. Oh, you guys look so cute. And they're just, one guy had like a mesh, like neon yellow shirt. And I'm like, I recognize that fashion style from where I grew up. And they're like, ooh, girl. And so we're talking. Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen. I can't believe that you are talking with them. Three of them go, what'd you just say? And I look at them and I go, I didn't say that. And they go, yeah, we know. It's like, ooh, they don't like you. One of them, he had a leather cover. It was tilted to the side. And he goes, Mama, may I please touch your belly? Okay, where are you from? And he goes, well, a little all over. And I was like, okay, cool. And he, like, do I look like Buddha to you? And they just go, girl, you're so funny. I'm pregnant, so whatever. And so they saunter off. And you guys have fun. We will. Be safe. You know it. Okay. Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen. Oh my, I cannot believe, we can't go in there. No, my daughters just cannot see gay people. Those three guys. And I was like, ooh, you can... Mind you, I have this huge belly, so that realistically wasn't very helpful when you think about it, nonetheless. I can't go in the street because I don't want to get hit by a car. But let me get out of the way with my big old pregnant belly that's like, whatever. They continue off. Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen goes, I cannot believe that you would bring us to a gay bar. You picked it out. Like, there's a whole list of them. And, like, these two haven't seen gay people before. And what, there's no gay people in Georgia? I don't think so. I have this weird feeling that there might be a couple gay people in a few different cities in the United States of America, and possibly maybe there is a gay person outside of the United States of America. Maybe a couple. Possibly. And yeah. Oh yeah. They've never, ever, ever seen a gay person before. They don't know any. No, we're from Georgia, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. I don't believe that in Georgia there are no gay people. I have this weird feeling there might be a gay person, there might be a bi person, there might be a lesbian somewhere, there might be a couple others. Hypothetically speaking, they may all even be in one vicinity of the state in multiple parts of the state of Georgia. Do you really have to talk to me like that? Okay, I guess we'll go elsewhere. So then we wound up going to gyms. And so, that whole thing. And then afterwards was the actual, the next day was the graduation ceremony at Lackland Air Force Base. Get on post, I can't find, right in the parking lot, I start having Braxton Hicks. I didn't know that's what it was called at the time. And then I go to, and it was right when I was trying to find my military ID, my original one. And Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen and her two daughters, Sondra Marie Osteen and Ariel Marie Osteen, they're all laughing. And I'm having Braxton Hicks while trying to find my military ID. And they found it funny. And they were like, oh, just get a new one. I can, but that's not the point. That's not the point at all. I literally had it to get on post. So, we went, we're going to be late for David. And all right, fine. So we go, and there was an SP who had, a puppy dog. Who's a puppy dog? And the German Shepherd military police dog. And I was like, who's your puppy dog? And he could tell I wanted to play. And so I go over to the SP who is pulling back on the leash on the German Shepherd, who's like, let's play. And I'm just like, oh, come on. And ma'am, you cannot play with this dog. Why not? It's just a puppy dog. It's just a little fluffy. No, you cannot. And it's funny because the German Shepherd military police dog, he just sat down and was like, I know, I want to pet you, fluffy, you're so cute. Military, or the SP guy, he's like, ma'am, oh my God, why would you want to come and pet a German Shepherd? You're pregnant. Just because I'm pregnant does not mean that I don't like big dogs. Although, just as a little hint, if he's acting this way, you might want to have him go through training again just to be on the safe side. There's a few things, if that's not, if they're not supposed to be, like that, you might want to have them go through whatever program again just to be on the safe side, because I have this feeling. And so we talked for a little bit, and the whole time I'm like, I want to pet you. I want to pet the puppy dog. I want to pet you, so is your puppy German Shepherd, so puppy. And the SP is just like, stop it. Because the German Shepherd kept wanting to be pet. It's like, I want to pet you, and I want to play. It's like, oh no, puppy dog. And so, you might want to get, him retrained. But yeah, I think you do, puppy. That being said, so, I explained the head injury on Palm Sunday and in the year before and talked with him. He's like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, so, it is what it is. But I apologize, I wasn't trying to make it difficult. He's like, oh, nobody's going to believe this. Nobody's going to believe what? Nothing. Please don't talk to... And then the German Shepherd just laid down and was like, oh, I want to pet you to eat your little fluffy. Go over, watch the whole thing go on, and didn't get yelled at then. And so, nonetheless, after the graduation ceremony, go to the barracks. And so it was David Osteen, and then me, then Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen, and then her daughter Sondra Marie Osteen, and her other daughter Ariel Marie Osteen. Tech sergeant or drill sergeant guy walks over to where David is, says, "Hey, how you doing? Whatever it was, airman, whatever the airman Osteen, whatever, da da da." And then he points, the tech sergeant points to me and says, "Oh, your wife made it. You didn't tell me she was pregnant." Oh no! I just came up right to bed and said, "Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen, I'm his wife." And don't you throw me under the bus like that, Tech. No. David, his face turned just pure, like, that color. And he's Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen starts throwing a temper tantrum. And that whole thing. So then, did the couple of days of stuff and then took, said bye to David and then took Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen and her two daughters, Sondra Marie and Ariel Marie Osteen, back to Fort Worth. So we're outside at one point after getting to Fort Worth, and Susie Marie Nichols Osteen and Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen are talking with Grandma Nichols as I'm standing outside. My now dead ex-husband and husband is inside doing whatever with Grandpa Nichols. However, all of their children were running around. So Brianna Marie Lopez, Marissa Marie Lopez, Joseph Anthony Lopez from Susie Marie Nichols Lopez, and Sondra Marie Osteen and Ariel Marie Osteen are playing together, and they're running around the front yard area as Grandma Nichols, Susie Marie Nichols Lopez, Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen, the neighbor Judy, and I are talking in the driveway near Judy's and her husband's wooden fence line. And I see Mimi's house across at an angle, and she has her window open, and instead of having the fan there like she normally did, it was just the open window. And I was like, ooh, okay. Yeah, I've known neighbors like that. There are those who understand what type of neighbor that is. And so then the house across the street, they have people going in and out. And some of the guys are talking and stuff like that with the females that were in the front yard. And, a few guys show up and stuff like that. Well, Susie Marie Nichols Lopez and Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen start talking about Sondra Marie Osteen's daughter. Sondra Marie Osteen's biological father. And when the two of them were talking about that, I watched the guys that were speaking with a couple females turn around and start looking at Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen and Susie Marie Nichols Lopez. And I just take a few steps back. Don't blame me. I said, I thought that you said David is her father. And she said, oh, that's something that David don't need to know. And kids are running around. And I look across the street and I look at Judy, and Judy's eyes got huge. Partially looking at me and partially looking at the guys across the street. And the guys across the street with the females that were there, every single one of them went like this. And just leaned against their cars. I was like, so I'm not a part of that? don't blame me. I do nothing. I don't see nothing. And then I had this feeling where I was like, I gotta do it. Because, like, I gotta do it. And I didn't have to do it. It was just one of those, I had to do it, but I didn't have to. And so I looked over at the guys that were across the street, and I look at Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen and Susie Marie Nichols Lopez. Look over at the guys when I said this, and I said, so who is Sondra's biological father? And one of the guys that were across the street, they went, I was like, and Susie Marie Nichols Lopez and Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen start talking about Sondra Marie Osteen's biological father, how they had been in a relationship on and off before Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen had met David Osteen. And so when she had gotten knocked up, he had just been arrested for something. And they explained the whole thing. And I just, don't you think that David should know that? Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen said, that don't matter. Okay. And the guys kind of just did that thing. And I look over at him and I'm like, I don't have to, but I do. Does Sondra's father know that Sondra is his? All the guys across the street go, it's like, don't blame me. And Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen and Susie Marie Nichols Lopez start laughing. And they go over all this sort of stuff, and I look, and the kids are playing in the front yard, and I said, what if, like, one of Susie's children hears that and talks with, like, whatever about that? Oh, it don't matter, da-da-da. Well, what about, like, her biological father's family? Oh, they don't need to know that. Those guys, they pulled out cell phones, and I was just like, oh, okay, please don't, I didn't do it. You know, and so I told them, I said, you should tell David as well as the biological father. That's wrong. And not only is it wrong to deny those guys of that information, but it's also wrong for you to not tell Sondra that, because Sondra should have the right to know where her genetics come from. So that way, if there are any pre-existing conditions, she is able to take care of herself properly. And the guys across the street, I didn't realize they were still doing it, and they were just like, I was like, ooh. Alright, fine. Those females kept running their mouths. And I said, I'm going inside. I'm going to go talk with Grandpa Nichols, because I don't think this is right. I can't just anymore. And the guys across the street, they go, I was like, went inside. Anytime I was over that house after that weekend, the guys that usually went in and out of that house usually were just standing outside, sitting on the front porch. And it was just one of those, hi. I didn't do it. They did it. I didn't. Don't blame me. And so, when it came to my now dead ex-husband's, like, funeral and stuff like that, Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen, her two daughters, Sondra Marie and Ariel Marie Osteen, showed up along with David Osteen, and of course, you know, Tony Walker Nichols and his wife Gail and their children, or her children, but he helped raise them. Tori and Amber showed up, and Susie Marie Nichols Lopez, of course, with her three children, Brianna Marie, Marissa Marie and Joseph Anthony Lopez, they're all there. And Grandpa and Grandma Nichols are discussing things. People are going in and out of the house as far as Grandma and Grandpa Nichols' house. And I'm just smoking. Just smoking my cigarettes, taking care of my son and my daughter as best as I can. And those guys across the street just watching and listening. And I'm just like, hey, I didn't do it. Don't blame me. And so it had been from 2001 up until 2008 that I had not had any contact with Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen or her children. And then when Grandpa Nichols died, so my now dead ex-husband died in January. His funeral was in the end of January, beginning of February. When Grandpa Nichols died, his death was in August, both in the same year of 2008. And so both of those times were when Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen and her two daughters, Sondra Marie and Ariel Marie Osteen, showed up as well. And so that would be the year, or the month and year, where when Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen came to my house in Carrollton, because I had moved from San Antonio to Carrollton, Texas, and I had updated Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen the same way I had explained things to Susie Marie Nichols Lopez in regards to the Bronze Star and all that sort of stuff. And Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen said, well, you know, I took care of things on my end. And I looked at her and said, what do you mean? I told you not to do anything. Susie Marie Nichols Lopez said, you know, Mary knows people, unlike you. And I looked at them and I'm like, what did you do? And Mary said, I know some people in Georgia because I'm a Georgia Belle. And I looked at her, I was like, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Whatsoever. Not at all. And I have a feeling there are people from Georgia who would be highly offended by you calling yourself a Georgia Belle, having been born and raised in Louisiana. And then, you know, as a teenager, you move to Fort Worth, Texas, and then you wind up in Georgia. I think there are some people that are actually born and raised in Georgia who would be extremely offended by you calling yourself a Georgia Belle. Mary Evongelina Nichols, oh no, they all love me the way Julio loves you. She didn't like that at all. She did not find that amusing at all. I thought it was hilarious, but, you know, apparently I was the only one at the time. And so it was just one of those, whatever, you know, is what it is. Well, Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen and her two daughters, Sondra Marie and Ariel Marie Osteen, came over to my house in Carrollton, and they were walking around and stuff like that. And Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen comes up to me and she says, I noticed you don't have any pictures of my dead brother in your bedroom. Yeah, you're correct, because he's my ex-husband before he went back in, and my now dead ex-husband. So, you know, well, you didn't really have to leave him. Yes, I did. I needed to end that marriage, absolutely. And I don't care that you don't like it. Why can't you just have one simple picture of his in your bedroom? Because he was my ex-husband before he died and became my dead ex-husband. That's why. I have the memorial aspect over, you know, by the front door. So that way my son and my daughter can have that sort of semblance in that regard. My son and my daughter's room have, you know, some stuff of what, you know, in regards to the shadow boxes that I made for them. I don't need that. They do. Why don't you care about your dead ex-husband? Because he's my dead ex-husband. I don't think you loved my brother. You are correct. I did not want to be married to him. Why can't you show some mercy and love? That is what Jesus Christ would do. I have a feeling that if Jesus Christ were on earth, Jesus Christ would look at your dead brother in disgust and want nothing to do with that, hypothetically speaking. Why don't you just love with an open heart? I do, to those who earn it and thus deserve it. Well, oh my God, Susan, what? As you insult me in my house. Well, do you really have to have an attitude like that? You are in my house. Get out. And out the door. I can't believe you just shh. I'm so glad you live in Georgia, nowhere near me. You disgust me. I feel bad for the people of Georgia, though. I feel bad for the people of Georgia. I do. I feel so bad for the people of Georgia because you live in their state. Why must, I do declare, why must you be so mean? I am being so nice. You are in the state of Texas and you are on my property. I'm being nice. Go back over to Grandma Nichols' house. And that would be when I found out about the revolver in regards to Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen putting some firearm to some guy's face because of him wanting to use a phone to call after his car broke down, and another time of using the same revolver to steal somebody's guy's dog, hypothetically, because her dog Elvis, who was a bloodhound, had run off, and she thought she heard Elvis in some other guy's house, and did not like when I asked how could she tell the difference between Elvis's bark and howl in comparison to another bloodhound's. Oh, I just knew it was my dog. And that sounds dumb. Because, I would guesstimate there are some bloodhounds that would be able to, or people who, have been around bloodhounds a while, that'd be able to be like, yeah, you could tell by personality, not necessarily by how they bark or howl. And so Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen was infuriated, and you just keep on insulting me. I'm not insulting you by telling you the truth. If you want me to insult you, I could still do that telling you the truth. However, referencing to the earlier point of this official YouTube video, and Richard Pryor, and having grown up in New Jersey in the 1980s and 1990s. I'll throw that out there. So, the only time after that I had spent any time with Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen or either one of her two daughters, Sondra Marie Osteen and Ariel Marie Osteen, was when going to Florida, spending a little bit of time in Georgia, and Sondra Marie Osteen wanted to introduce me to a bunch of her friends at the Waffle House and bring up about my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000, my tattoos, so on and so forth. And I discussed that, though I explained that I had my career in line before the head injury and stuff like that. A couple of the males specifically, there were a couple of females, but more so males, that had asked a bunch of questions in reference to spirituality and so on and so forth. And we talked for a while. Not any issue or anything like that. And then Sondra Marie Osteen and Ariel Marie Osteen tried to say, oh, this is the ghetto in Macon, Georgia? Why do you think this is the ghetto? And the two of them were like, well, look, there are people. Yeah, imagine that. People in a city, huh? It's called a population, if I'm not mistaken. And, just, ugh, Aunt Susan, really? Whatever, fine, it is what it is. And so, oh, no, you just don't understand. This is the ghetto of Georgia. Macon? I don't know, I have a feeling there's like actual ghettos in Georgia. I don't know where. But this is not any ghetto that I would envision, like, at all. Not from where I grew up walking around. In comparison, everybody has a front yard and a backyard. I'm sure there are a few places that do have front yards and backyards, and could be in that aspect of ghetto type stuff. However, this is, I don't know, I don't think the crime rate is realistically that bad here. I could be wrong, but I don't see that many individuals that I would say would be like what you're describing as like the hood or the ghetto. Not at all. No, not at all. Oh, we hate being from here. It seems really nice. And I don't mean that in, my biological mother Anna sort of way of nice. I mean, like, a nice area, calm, quiet, relaxing sort of stuff. No, is it? Okay, whatever. So then there was the issue in reference to going to the Georgetown Aquarium, and I was supposed to be able to go scuba diving, but the night before was the issue where I caught Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen closing up my scuba diving gear bag. And I've discussed in prior videos in reference to the Boca Raton scuba dive, where that particular signed dive buddy had noticed that there was air bubbles coming out of my BCD, and put that together, obviously, back then at the time. And so, nonetheless, so yeah, did that. And when I was in Georgia, I did have the hair color, the hairstyle for the most part, with the exception of the sides being as short as they are. I did have this set of tattoos, this one, that one, this without the, I don't think I had the purple yet. And then I had the golden symbol here in that one. And then I had the one on the back of my neck that would have been visible. I don't know if I was wearing capris or not. If I was, then you would have been able to see that, as well as the Methuselah tattoo, and then those. And so, just that is what it is. Other than that, the only other interaction that I had with Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen was in 2013, when the San Antonio Child Protective Services had told me I needed to contact someone to try to get help with my daughter. And I was like, I've kind of contacted a few people, organizations, so on and so forth, and they were like, yeah, well, blood relation. And so I had said, well, I really prefer not Susie Marie Nichols Lopez if I could avoid it. And Grandma Nichols is like close to, passing. And my biological parents, that's a no-go. My biological sister, absolutely not. And my ex-brother-in-law, I mean, he's just got a lot going on. And so she said, is there anyone else? Well, there's my other ex-sister-in-law, Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen, but we don't get along. Well, maybe you can incentivize her to want to actually, take Lydia. Like what? And so either Luis or the female, one of them had said, well, you do get payments, right? Yeah, I do, but what do you mean? And they were like, well, you get payments. Yes. For your daughter. Yes. Well, tell Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen, though they just said Mary, about that. So that way they can like look at that, and then that would be an incentive for Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen to take your daughter in, and maybe you could throw in another incentive. When was the last time that you saw her? 2009. And she was like, so the female said, well, so has she seen her niece and nephew since then? No. Well, why don't you tell Mary that, you can bring out James, your son, and like that would maybe incentivize her to like want to be involved and care about that. And I looked at her and I said to the female CPS worker, I said, she's been on Facebook. It's not like she hasn't been able to see everything that's been going on. She has not offered to help my son or my daughter up until this point in time. The same thing in reference to my other ex-sister-in-law, Susie Marie Nichols Lopez. And so they've all been on Facebook. They have not, at any point in time, ever offered any assistance to my daughter especially, or my son. So if you really think that that's gonna be a good idea, fine, I'll do it. But it's not like they haven't been on Facebook watching. And so CPS workers convinced me to type something up. I showed them the message, and both of them were like, yes, that's exactly what Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen, they just said Mary, would need to see, so that way, it would get her to want to be a part of her niece and nephew's life. And I said to them, they haven't made any effort before. Like, I'm the one who made all the effort in regards to my children getting to know my ex-in-laws. My son and my daughter did not have, like, them, meaning my ex-in-laws, with the exception of Tony. And he's been dealing with enough stuff as it is. However, yeah, like, all on Facebook. It's not like it hasn't been stuff I've written about on Facebook or other social media platforms. So they haven't reached out in this whole time. They didn't do anything. But if you really think that sending this one message is going to be a good idea, all right, I'll send it. Sent it. And while I was still speaking with the Child Protective Service, male and female, Luis, and then I can't remember what the female's name was. It wasn't Sondra Goodwin, but it was another one. That was there. Sondra Goodwin was at the courthouse. The other one was a blonde female with shorter hair and broader shoulders and stuff like that, and shorter than Luis. And so we're talking. I get a response. And I show them the response and from Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen, where she was just, no, blah, 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 how dare you? There's your answer. And the two of them looked at that, they looked at me, and they said, oh my God, really? And I said, well, it's not that I haven't tried. It's not that I haven't put it out there. And so I showed them my Facebook page. I said, it's here it is. And they looked it over, they were like, oh wow, you really have been putting that out there. Yes, to genuinely try. Like, maybe somebody would see it and know what to do, how to, like, recommend something. They're like, and you haven't? No. And the few recommendations of what to do that I've gotten, well, I already did what was recommended before it was recommended to me. And they just looked at me and they were like, okay. And so it's not that I didn't try. So if, hypothetically speaking, Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen, having now some playboy in Georgia, in regards to the way she stupidly did things in regards to her dead brother slash, spiritual husband, my dead ex-husband, against what I had told her to do, which was do nothing, so that way I could actually handle it and not cause any problems. Additionally, to the armed forces of the United States of America, because of understanding and comprehending quite a bit going on in that regard. I also didn't know that there was hacking or anything like that. I didn't know that sort of stuff was a thing until recently. And so that was back in 2013. This is the 4th of June, 2020. And I contacted my ex-sister-in-law, Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen, in 2013. And my biological mother was the one who did all the updates for my laptops, that each one was turned into Geek Squad of Best Buy. Because I would guesstimate at this point there are people who know I have issues with technology beyond me telling them, but actually knowing. And seeing. And my biological sister, Patricia Ann Hom Miller, had been the one who had done a lot of stuff with my cell phone. And so anytime Anna, my biological mother, came over to my apartment, whenever she would grab the laptop, same thing with my cell phone. So, that being said, I know that's a whole bunch of stuff. However, hopefully that assists in that regard of what I survived in combination of my ex-sister-in-law, Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen, her two daughters, Sondra Marie Osteen and Ariel Marie Osteen, her meaning Mary Evongelina Nichols Osteen, her husband David Osteen, who was in the Air Force and graduated in 2001 from Lackland Air Force Base. Irony in regards to the individual I met at Cowboys Dance Hall at the Stony LaRue concert in March of 2013, and Jesse Leroy Hoover Jr. having said that he went to officer school for the Air Force at Lackland Air Force Base, and his best friend was with the name of Warner, like Warner Robins Air Force Base in Macon, Georgia. That being said, it could be just some big old coinky-dink, and I could be absolutely, hypothetically, making some weird connection there. However, hypothetically speaking, if there is a coinky-dink in that regard, I would guesstimate that maybe somebody in law enforcement of some form or another would be able to put that together and figure that out. That being said, you guys have a good one. Comment below, share, subscribe to my official YouTube channel, Reverend MeeLing. And, you guys have a good one.